I just so happen to be the off-going reactor operator, hypothetically, for this story, and so I have the counting station set up. It's ready, and then they start bringing me the first couple bags of stuff that I'm supposed to count to see if this is a real spill, if it's contaminated, whatever. And then the kicker comes. The last bag that I receive is Clay's underwear in a poly bag with a couple of other like random things. And at this point, when I get that bag, the squadron ELT guy, so the head ELT for the squadron, is looking over my shoulder. And at first, I'm like, okay, I have to make sure I'm not messing this up because this could be a comment or whatever. But then I get a bag of someone's underwear to count, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. Like, this guy's going to be pissed at what's happening right now. So I count his underwear, which was fine. And then he leans into my ear and he goes, do you know how stupid this is?
Dive! Dive! Code red in 4 compartment middle level.
Torpedoes in the water!
No, I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.
Joe, hit us with the Bruce Buffer. It's been a while.
Come
on, give me.
You can't say it's been a while because it's never happened. So
it's been a while since I've asked.
A while.
No.
And Jimmy's not here, so I think you could just let it rip.
Well, fight night ended like 3 hours ago, so we've already missed a train on that as well.
Fine.
It doesn't matter. You say that like it would.
Was it even him? Bruce Buffer's rarely even on fight nights.
Of course, yeah, he was there.
It's either. It seems like they prefer for the fight nights that Spanish guy.
No, it was him.
Wow.
It was an Abu Dhabi event, so they went like.
Oh, okay.
It was a fight night. It wasn't a main card, but they still put some effort into it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's
Fight
where all the
Island.
money's coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
All right. This is episode 16. Joe, you have something to start us off with, so fire away.
Yeah. So, because this kind of like been burning me up. So, what was it? Yesterday. Yes, yesterday. So I took a nap. I woke up at like 6 o'clock. And I'm sure, can you see? You might not be able to see. Right next to over where I sleep is the phone on the nightstand. And I woke up, and the first thing I noticed when I was looking at the phone was like, wait a minute. There's only one power cable, or there's only one cable coming out of this phone. And it's got like a shield on it. It's got a shield on it, and it's got a shield on the port behind the bed for some reason. They're like screwed in. So you can't just like look at it. So I haven't thought about it. But then it occurred to me, I was like, wait a minute. This is power over Ethernet. So I do have an Ethernet port after all. So I ripped the shield off it, and I ripped the shield off the wall. And if you'll notice, there's a small black cable right there.
Yeah.
Running across the bed over here into my dock. So I am now actually hardwired in.
The connection is much better. It's noticeably better.
It is.
And
it's so much better.
As soon as I noticed, I like ran down to my truck. I got my toolkit. I came up here, ripped all that shit off. I was like, yep, that is indeed an Ethernet port. And I ran to the store, which is like right across the street from me. And it was like 10 minutes before it closed. Bought a 25-foot cable, and I hooked that bitch up.
Nice.
And I was so upset because like this shit has literally been staring me in the face since I got here. So it's been like a month, almost a month.
Yeah, but I think that most people would not even know that having Ethernet plugged into a phone is a thing.
No, but I mean like literally every morning. I wake up every morning and I look at it. It's the first thing I see.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me like, wait a minute, there's only one fucking. I always thought it was the power cable.
Right.
You've been staring at the phone in the Matrix, and you didn't realize you could fucking enter.
Right.
This whole time.
Because I was like, oh, that's the power.
It took a month for like the nerd brain to activate in the background.
Well, like, you can't see the ports on it due to the shield that's on it. So like that's the power cable because it's plugged in, right? But then like it finally occurred to me, I was like, wait a minute. If that's the power cable, how the fuck would you make a call? It's a landline.
Right.
So that's when I finally realized that's power over Ethernet. I don't know. That really
That was
I
a.
pictured
I went
that
through this
story
emotional roller coaster.
with you as a cartoon.
Yeah, I went through this
Just like
roller coaster of
steady.
really happy. I was like, oh, I can finally fix this, and then really upset at myself. Like I'm literally in school for nerd shit, like networking and whatnot. I should have figured this shit out weeks ago.
What it
Potentially.
says to me is it took a month for you to not even be able to take a break from it. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's just still spinning in there
True.
even when you wake up from your nap and immediately you're like, nerd brain, go.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing to you.
Okay, so as you guys know, the plan this week was originally to kick off a new series where we're going to discuss a Navy career from start, all the way from talking to recruiters through finish, whether that's at the 4, 6, 10, 15, or 20-year point, and then transitioning out of the Navy and all of the things that come along with that. So we're going to capture that in hopefully a 4 or 5 episode run. And obviously the first episode would start at the beginning with recruiters, and Jimmy decided that he couldn't join us tonight. So we're going to wait, and we're going to start that series next week. So if that's something that you're interested in, listeners and viewers out there, come back next week for that. But so this week, we're just going to share a couple of, let's call them hypothetical stories that definitely didn't really happen, but we're going to tell them like they did. But just know that these stories did not actually happen.
Yeah.
They're made up. The characters referenced are not real. And the
It's just not a real story.
The views and opinions expressed herein are not the views and opinions of the United States Navy or whoever the fuck else thinks that we would speak for them. Okay.
Disclaimer, all characters are fictional.
Yeah, exactly.
Any resemblance to real people is accidental.
I'm not a real person.
I'm not a real person anyway, so don't worry about it.
So what? There's a couple of bangers. The hypothetical bangers. Which one should we start off with? I'm thinking the spill.
The hypothetical spill, yes. That's it.
The
Yes.
hypothetical spill. I don't.
So-
Okay, we have to stop. It is hypothetical. This story is not real. We're making it up. But we already talked about it. So we know how the story goes. So it's not going to sound like we're making it up. But from here on, everything that we say is hypothetical.
So this story, based on the characters we created hypothetically, would need to be told in 2 parts.
Yes. Okay. So I will be the fly on the wall in engine room middle level.
Yes, and I will be the fly on the wall in the engine room forward.
Okay. Okay. So for visual context, for people that aren't familiar with a 688 class submarine, when you enter the engine room from the forward compartment, which when you're underway cruising, that's the only way you get into the engine room. You have to come through the forward compartment, and there's only one way to go, and it's a tunnel next to the reactor compartment, which splits the forward and the aft half of the submarines. And then when you exit that tunnel, you're in engine room middle level, which is where half of the story takes place. And then to get down to engine room forward, which is the space directly below that, there's 2 options of ladders that you can climb down to get directly into engine room forward. And then in engine room forward, if you move forward in the submarine, you just hit a wall. There's no way you can get any more forward than that unless you go up first. Okay. I think we covered that.
Yes.
You should draw
Okay.
me a cartoon.
I will try to sketch it out.
I want a cartoon map.
I'm very bad at
Like Clue.
we could probably do a Clue style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably make this story hit even harder. Okay, so for this story, the USS Hampton, hypothetically, has recently left a engineered overhaul period in shipyard, and every time they take angles and dangles, either list or trim, up, down, or left, right, water is coming out of the ventilation system. It's coming out of the ducts that air is supposed to be coming out of, and no one has figured out where the water is coming from. everyone thinks and assumes that it's chill water because that's the water that flows in like conjunction with that system. But no one can find it, and it doesn't seem like the level in the tank is changing. So there's this mystery water that's coming out of ventilation ducts every time the ship is taking angles, and we know that it's happening. And so until we find the water, all that happens when we take angles is if you're near ventilation ducting, you just try to like catch water in a bucket or with paper towels or whatever you have. So that's happening. Also during this story taking place, squadron. So the every submarine is part of a larger squadron of submarines, and the squadron people all have a representative for each division. So there's like a squadron RC div guy, M div guy, ELT guy, which is RL div, and like everybody is represented at squadron by a person who's kind of like in charge of that division across the squadron. Makes sense? Amber, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are getting ready for ORS, which is the Operational Reactor Safeguards exam. But because we just got out of a shipyard period, we suck at pretty much everything operationally. And so Squadron is riding the boat to run us through a fake ORS to get ready for real ORS. And then they're going to give us like internal comments and hits, but it's not going to like get our keys taken away. We're not going to lose the ability to operate the reactor. So Squadron is on board, which means that the pucker factor is like moderate. No one's super worried about Squadron, but it's not like a nice calm underway either.
It's not a regular watch.
Yeah, everyone knows that it could turn the corner and have some not kind words to say that could really fuck your life up for a while. But it's also not as bad as like an actual ORS board member that's on the boat.
Yeah, these guys will come in and they're basically, from a civilian standpoint, these guys are basically regional managers.
Yeah, exactly.
So these regional manager guys are going to come in and they're like, obviously have to make sure that the region they're managing is not
that Michael
mismanaged.
Scott is not running the show.
Yes. So when you run into inevitably Michael Scott, they're able to be there to fix what needs to be fixed.
Before the feds come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in that scenario, they are preemptively saying, hey, even if you are doing something wrong, we are kind of here to help. We're still going to shit on you, but we're also here to make us look less stupid when you inevitably get caught.
There is self-preservation involved.
Yes.
Because it will look badly on them if
they've already done all the stupid bullshit you've done, so like you can't. It's really hard to like pull a fast one on them.
Pull a fast one, yes, but we're going to talk about doing some new stupid shit in front of them.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yes.
Okay, so the setting of the story is in engine room middle level. There is 2 senior first-class electricians sitting at their work computer, which is the as forward as you can go in engine room middle level without going down the tunnel. And there's a ventilation ducting right behind them, right behind both of their heads. Mike, what's happening in engine room forward?
Engine room forward, there's a watchstander down there, and there is a very senior mechanic who is in his twilight tour, who is about to get out. And then a fresh, hot off the press junior sailor that is learning how to become a shipboard mechanic and a useful body for the crew.
We need to figure out his first name. Do you know his first name?
It's Timmy.
Okay, Timmy. So that's what we'll call him, Timmy, for the purpose of the story.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are they doing down there?
They're doing maintenance on primary valves.
Yeah, which means reactor coolant.
Yes.
Is there?
Yes.
Flowing,
has the potential
at least
to be
potentially
there.
Flowing through these valves. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so also in engine middle level, just for general context, that space is where the ELTs, the chemistry guys, routinely sample primary coolant. So that's where the sample sink is, and a lot of other primary valves, so like reactor coolant touching valves, are also in engine middle level. and that becomes relevant in a few seconds here because the boat is about to start taking angles and dangles. And out of the engine room middle level vent duct comes more water than anyone has ever seen come out of one of these things ever. And both of the senior electricians know that the water is going to be coming, and so they grab a bunch of chem wipes and they hold them up in the up in the ducting, but it is quickly overwhelmed, and they both get drenched in water. And so there's a shit ton of water all over engine room middle level. And what's happening in engine room forward?
From engine room forward, what fella's standpoint, we take a angle, and now the walls are raining liquid. So a primary valve has a nice feature built in underneath it to catch any drippage from the primary coolant system, so you don't contaminate the lower level bilge of the plant. So they're all full of water now. There's water in the bilge where it's not supposed to be. There's water everywhere.
That water is from ventilation. But it is now potentially contaminated because of where it landed.
Yes.
However, in engine room middle level, that water is not potentially contaminated. It's just ventilation water. Anyone that could walk by and see it should know right away that that's not primary coolant or had the potential to be. So enter one of the more important characters of the story, the ELT chief, the lead ELT, one of the dumber human beings that I have hypothetically ever met in my life. He comes through.
The guy who found a random pair of glasses in the build and just put them on.
The glasses guy from a couple episodes ago. That's him.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Okay.
Hypothetically. So he comes through the tunnel to get into the engine room during angles and dangles and looks immediately to his right and sees two electricians soaking wet, and then looks on the deck and sees that there's a bunch of water on the floor. And his brain, partly because he's an ELT and partly because he's an idiot, just assumes that is a spill, a radiological spill. I don't know where he thought the water came from, but he immediately picked up a 4MC, which is an emergency announcing circuit, which plays his message out loud to maneuvering and control and a couple other places. But anyway, he picks up the 4MC, and on top of being an idiot, this guy had one of the more difficult voices to understand ever. He mumbled everything that he said. It was very pitchy, and he was dumb. So half the words he said, you're like, is that really a word? Anyway, he picks up the phone, and he goes, "Mercy report, spill, engine room forward, unknown source." And then he hangs up. Engine room forward is not the fucking space that he's in, but that's where he called the spill away from. Mike, what's happening in engine room forward right now?
So in engine room forward, hypothetically, the senior mechanic that's down there has frantically alerted the LPO of the division at the time that we've got a fucking mess down here, and we've got to clean it up.
Actually a spill.
Yes.
Yeah.
So while the water is constantly raining and collecting, we are carefully, but also frantically, cleaning the water. We send the junior mechanic, because he's not really useful at this point,
Timmy.
Timmy.
Yeah.
To go get as many wipes and absorbents as he physically can carry, and then add a few more and come running back to us. While Timmy is gone, we hear the repeated 4MC come out over the 1MC.
Yeah, so now that message was received by the controlling stations, and they're telling the whole ship.
So they told the whole ship, spill in engine room forward, spill from an unknown source. Okay? So from our perspective, hypothetically, in engine room forward, someone just called away a spill in engine room forward
that no one should know about.
Only 3 people saw water,
Yeah.
and one of them is now missing from the scene. So the senior mechanic screams this guy's name,
Timmy!
Timmy! To get a response from him. He eventually comes in with all of his absorbents, and he goes, "What do you guys need?" And he was like, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I just went and got wipes." Let's go back to engine middle level.
Yes, because the assumption was that he saw what was happening, was told to go help cover it up, clean it up, and then immediately just ratted them out and called away.
It's like, here we go.
So in engine middle level, one of the senior electrician escapes the madness that's about to come. So he's still wet, but he just goes to a different place because I don't know if he knew what was about to happen, or if he was just trying to further help clean up and went to go get absorbents just like Timmy did. But the other senior electrician stayed there to try to catch more of the water that was coming out, having already been completely drenched. He was also arguing with the lead ELT who just called away a spill. This is not a spill. I saw this water come out of the ventilation ducting. There is no way that it's contaminated. There's no way I'm contaminated. What are you talking about? Oh, and by the way, you said engine room forward. We are in engine room middle level. So then they corrected. He picked up the 4MC again and said, correction to last 4MC. The spill is in engine room middle level. What he should have said was, there's not a spill. Sorry, I'm an idiot. But he said the spill is in engine room middle level. And he added on that Petty Officer Clay, hypothetically, is wetted and potentially contaminated.
The wings are drenched.
So now, because there's a spill with someone that's wet and potentially contaminated, it kicks off this gigantic response. The dock on the boat has to set up a decontamination station in the head that everybody uses. There has to be a whole bunch of egress controls into and out of the engine room and the wetted spaces. I mean, it turns into a huge nightmare.
I'm picturing tents and bubble suits. Is it that bad?
Kind of. In some of the spaces, yeah.
Except it's yellow.
It is all yellow. Yeah. Yellow poly.
Bright yellow, yeah.
At this point, the off-going reactor operator is supposed to be setting up a counting station to receive potentially contaminated stuff in bags and then count it with a radiac and then determine whether or not there actually is contamination, what type it is, how long it's going to take to go away. If the
What's a radiac?
Working, blah, blah, blah. It's an instrument that counts radiation.
Okay.
I don't know what they call it in the civilian world. Geiger counter is kind of the same thing.
Dosimeter.
Dosimeter, right? Yeah. So that's being set up.
It looks like a Ghostbuster trap, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Petty Officer Clay is being talked to by several squadron members, the lead ELT, junior ELTs, the engineer, and I think his chief, all right there in that space trying to figure out what actually happened. Where did the water come from? Why was it called away as a spill? So that's happening in engine room middle level. What's happening in engine room forward?
So in engine room forward, we are recovering from the did Timmy just fucking narc on us inadvertently without knowing, to hearing a correction to last 4MC, spills in engine room middle level, spill on unknown source.
Yeah.
Okay. Petty Officer Clay is wetted. Okay. So now that we are down there and we hear a correction that it came from engine room middle level, now everyone who hypothetically would have had a gallon of water absorbed into chem wipes now goes at our hands.
Yeah.
Because we're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe that was real.
Yeah.
So now we are trying to triage the situation.
Yeah, because you also didn't know for sure where the water came from.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we are now trying to triage.
Are we covered in coolant?
Yeah. Are we covered in? Are we now covered in coolant that we just sopped up hypothetically? And
Oh my god.
so our course of action, because we are very honest and full of integrity mechanics, I climbed up the ladder, and there's a chain that prevents people from falling down the ladder. Well, to prevent any other personnel from potentially becoming contaminated and injuring forward, because I'm a good, nice sailor, I spun the chain to make it taut and hooked it so that we could hear someone jingle it trying to remove it because it is now abnormally tight,
And alert you that someone's coming.
and alert me to say, stop, you're in a safe space. We will take care of you, and not cover up anything.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, I don't think I was on the boat when this happens, because I don't remember my part of the story at all. I'm pretty
You're
sure I
probably
was
asleep if you were on the boat.
I mean, it wasn't ship-wide response.
No.
It was all the ELTs dock and offgoing.
The mechanics that just happened to be in the engine room.
Yeah, but even that was just an accident.
Yeah.
Hypothetically. Hypothetically, Joe. This didn't happen. So of
Okay,
course,
so-
you
Of course you wouldn't have known what happened.
Yeah, I can't be at a hypothetical situation if.
Yeah. So at
But
this
it's
time,
anyways,
silly goose.
you hypothetically probably would sleep.
I just so happen to be the offgoing reactor operator, hypothetically, for this story. And so I have the counting station set up on the aft end of engine room middle level between the high pressure air compressors, which is where it's supposed to go. So there is a couple of cabinets, like electrical cabinets, between Petty Officer Clay and all the chaos that's happening up there and where I am, and that's by design. But I can't see what's happening to him or hear what's happening to him only like 20 feet forward of me. So I'm getting everything set up. It's ready. And then they start bringing me the first couple bags of stuff that I'm supposed to count to see if this is a real spill, if it's contaminated, whatever. And the first bag is Clay's wallet. And then his sneakers. It was his wallet and his underwear shoes. And I was starting to get confused about, like, why is this what I got? Why isn't it like chem wipes? Like, why didn't they clean anything up? I'm just kidding. So I count it. Nothing, obviously. It's fucking chill water. It's ventilation water. And so I had to, log it, write it down, blah, blah, blah. And then here comes another. This bag is bursting at the seams with Clay's entire poopy suit. So his whole coverall is jammed into one poly bag, and they sent it to me to count. And it has to be 10 pounds. I mean, it's so heavy because it's maximum absorption capacity reached of chill water. And so I drop this weight down and count it, and nothing, obviously. And then the kicker comes. The last bag that I receive is Clay's underwear in a poly bag with a couple of other like random things. And at this point, when I get that bag, the squadron ELT guy, so the head ELT for the squadron, is looking over my shoulder. And at first, I'm like, okay, I have to make sure I'm not messing this up because this could be a comment or whatever. But then I get a bag of someone's underwear to count, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. Like, this guy's going to be pissed at what's happening right now. So I count his underwear, which was fine. And then he leans into my ear and he goes, do you know how fucking stupid this is? And I didn't know the full extent of it, but even I knew that I was not supposed to be getting someone's underwear. And I was like, yeah, it seems pretty dumb. And he's like, okay, good, as long as somebody knows. 20 feet forward of me, Clay had been convinced by our engineer, our lead ELT, and I guess just not defended enough by everyone that knew better, to get completely naked in the engine room where he was, so that a junior ELT could take a radiac like I had at the counting station to his naked body and figure out if he had become contaminated right there in the engine room. Is that ever how you're supposed to do it? No. Does that, when you frisk somebody out, what's the rule? Joe, what's the rule for how close you have to hold?
2 inches. Within 2 inches of the body.
To be within 2 inches of whatever you're counting. which means an ELT held a radiac 2 inches from Clay's dick and balls and butt. And more importantly, which I think gets glossed over, his feet, which means that his face was 2 inches from his dick at most. That's all happening with, I mean, more people than you could ever care to be jammed in that space, fully clothed, staring at this process. Half of them think that this needs to be happening, and half are like, what the fuck are you doing?
You have maximum oversight, all shoved in like a phone booth, basically, all around this.
I mean, I think some of them were deciding, like, is this just bad response to a non-casualty, or is this a sapper case that we're about to have to deal with?
But also, all the people that know better aren't stopping it.
They aren't stopping it. No one stopped it.
And that is, like, prevalent throughout the whole net. Like, somebody way high up who's got way more time and experience than you will just watch you do the wrongest shit ever and just stare at you.
It's a very good allegory for
butt naked in the engine room.
Yeah. And then, you know, a day later, they were like, you know, that wasn't very smart of you guys.
Yeah, that was silly.
That was dumb as hell.
Anyway, that's that. Engine room 4. So how did it wrap up in engine room 4?
I assume you all were naked as well, right?
That was not. They were not coinciding incidents. We were just nude by default.
Right. Right. Maintenance. So.
Streamlined maintenance.
Yeah.
High speed, low drag. Yeah. No. So, we have, because the ELTs perform things down there, we had a radiac down there, just naturally.
Yeah.
So we actually use it to check, because we're all freaking out, and so we use a dry chem wipe, hypothetically, to move everything with like crab mittens, so that we don't contaminate anything.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go get gloves. That would have alerted everybody.
No.
Yeah.
And then we're doing the crab frisk to make sure that we're good, and then once we realize that we are, we peek up and I go to look, and I see the top of Kenny's head counting, because where the ladder comes up, you can just see over the high pressure air compressors.
Like,
and I see the squadron ELT, and I see Kenny counting, and I just real quietly went back down, and I was like, I think it's real up there, but if we're good, you know, we're good. So we take all of our cleaning supplies, because we were just doing some routine clean, like good sailors. And we told Timmy to take that bag of cleaning supplies and go all the way aft and all the way up and put it in a trash can near the reverse osmosis units.
That will never be emptied.
So that if anyone goes, why are all these absorbents so wet in this trash can?
It'll make sense.
It's because it was by a water making machine.
Yeah. Very good.
So we did that. Myself, hypothetically, with the senior mechanic, are like, you think we're okay? I think we're okay. Let's show face to figure out if we're in the clear.
Right.
So I come up and around and down from engine room upper level. Big brain.
Very smart. So you took the back way up. And then down.
Yeah. So I came back down. So when they first saw me for the first time,
you
I
were
was
coming down.
So they would never think, oh.
This is the kind of shit that is almost done like subconsciously.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, I have to go around, because otherwise they don't know.
Big brain.
What just happened? Like, dude, they would never piece that together. But still, you're like, I have to.
But still, I have to.
Yeah.
So I come down. They're doing their thing. I go around to basically what I think is a powwow of people conversating about the condition of what it's in. And I round the corner around an electrical cabinet, and I make eye contact with Clay's dick and balls. And I naturally look down, and then I look up at him, and he goes,
Yep. That was the mood.
and I walked away,
Yeah.
hypothetically, and that was
That-
the last of my involvement in this scenario.
So when I hypothetically experienced this story happening, it was already the most absurd shit that we ever did on the boat. Because I didn't know anything about what was hypothetically happening 5 feet below me. But the fact that those two things happened at the same time, I mean, it's absolutely crazy that honestly it went as well as it did. Because all that really happened was Clay got naked for no reason, hypothetically. And Squadron thought
What
we were
was
really
the
stupid.
outcome? Right. What was the outcome of Squadron? Did you guys?
Oh, we had to do a whole bunch of upgrades about what a spill is. And they were like, find the leak. Stop having water just pour out of your ventilation system. Which we were like, yeah, that's probably a good root cause. But also,
And then, yeah,
the lead ELT is a
good
fucking
note.
idiot. And they're like, yeah, he is an idiot.
they're
Can
like,
we
"Where do you
insert a
also,
clip of
like-
Charlie saying, "I thought I said no gun"?
I'm pretty sure. They also like threw away his favorite shirt or something.
He didn't get his
Like
shit
that?
back.
Yeah.
That was part of it that he was most upset about. Is he was like,
Yeah.
we all know that that's not a spill, right? Like I can just have it back. And I don't know who made the decision, but they're like, no, we have to send it off. Because anytime you have contaminated people, I'm going to butcher this actual rule. Matt can audit us later. But like anytime you have actually or potentially contaminated people on the boat, you have to keep their personal effects and have them officially cleared by like big Navy.
Yeah,
So
but
did
did
he
he get
get
his wallet back?
He got his wallet back and he got, I think, his shoes back.
So they're out of proto, anyways.
Well, I think the Squadron ELT, I might have to cut that part, but I think he made some judgment calls about like, we're not going to take his fucking wallet and his shoes, his only pair of shoes.
We
For the
shouldn't have
rest of
taken
his
his
underwear.
fucking dignity either, but we did.
Oh, it was
But you-
when I got his underwear. I had his underwear and like his multi-tool or his knife, and I was like, "How did these two things make it last?" But I didn't. I never asked him. Like he
Yeah,
had
underwear comes off, then he's got to empty the prison wallet. And
it.
then,
exactly. Either that, or he's got it tucked in his underwear waistband for the most difficult access you could ever imagine in a poopy suit. Unzip the whole way, reach in.
yeah,
Back up.
Yeah,
So did Clay get to go home?
we were underway. There was
we're
no going home.
underway.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he got to
He gotta
go
go back
put
to
on a
his
new
rack.
fucking poopy suit.
Yeah.
So he's contaminated, can't get his stuff back.
Well, they confirmed via a one-on-one intimate connection that he was not contaminated. He didn't get his stuff back because me as a lowly non-even ELT, I don't have the like authority to say none of this stuff is contaminated.
So you can't see a screen that says 0 and see that it means 0.
That's correct.
Yeah.
No, it's just that
Exactly
his
it.
opinion doesn't matter, which is like even better.
Only in this
Both
situation.
good enough and not
If-
good enough.
Yeah, if we like spilled actual reactor coolant and I'm counting it and I'm like, it's gone down by this many counts per minute over the past blah number of minutes, then that's good. We're good with, okay, the cleanup is effective. But if it's a person, then they take the high and right stance of like, yeah, you can't clear it. So anyway,
What a
That's
crazy
that-
hypothetical we
that's
created.
that very fun hypothetical situation that we came up with. There's one more that we'll share this episode. Michael and or Joe, do you have any that you want to cut in?
I mean, I'll tell one that Mikey was there for.
All right.
The
Is this
hypothetical.
hypothetical again?
Yeah, it's all hypothetical.
this doesn't matter. Like
Yes, it does. This
it
whole
doesn't matter if
episode-
it's hypothetical or not. Everybody knew about it.
Not everybody that fucking watched this YouTube video.
There's no. It's the Flexo story. The gold bolts.
Okay,
So
sure. Let it rip.
Hypothetically, that's the story he's about to tell. Let it rip, dude.
So I don't even remember when this happened. I was pretty junior.
We were in the shipyard.
Yeah, we're in the shipyard.
so
I don't know how long
before-
I've been there.
Before that story took place.
Yeah,
Yes.
but we're in the shipyard. I wasn't on the boat that long. Like, we were still in the process of putting the boat back together, right? And there's a flex hose that moves fresh water to cool the port turbine generator, because turbine generators create electricity, so they get hot, so you gotta cool it. So me and Mikey installed this flex hose, which is like a giant L shape on a pipe, but it's got some rubber around the elbow, so it can flex, right?
So it's running fresh water from the shipyard
Yeah.
to cool our shipboard turbines, right?
No, this is like
No.
actual. This
You're
is
talking
like
about the ship system.
This is
Yeah.
a ship system.
Okay.
So you've got
Yeah, this is like supposed to be there.
you've got a metal flange, you got a rubber hose, and then a metal elbow and a rubber hose and a metal flange. And
Gotcha.
so it allows the flexibility for when the piping shifts and temperature and stuff.
Yeah, because when metal vibrates, it makes a lot of fucking noise. When rubber vibrates, it doesn't. So that's good. That's good for submarines. And this thing is like what, 50 pounds? I'm not a good guesser, but it's heavy and it's decently big, and it's like 8 feet off the ground, right? So we put, if we're forming an L, the bottom of it on the pipe first. That way it can kind of stand up on its own, and we install that. And then where it goes around the elbow, and then it starts running parallel to the deck, we start putting that one in. So I climb up on the turbine generator, and I start putting the bolts in. And I think I was putting bolts in for probably about 20 minutes.
That seems like a very long time.
Yeah, there's nothing but, my bare hands and 2 fucking crescent wrenches. And I remember it was the top.
You didn't even have. You were using crescent wrenches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the way the collar is, you can't get a socket or anything on there.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, it's just not an option. So like, you can't put a fucking impact on it or something. You have to use your bare fucking hands, just due to like space limitations. And it's the very top one, right? As in, like, I'm looking down because I'm above it, and Mikey is standing on the floor looking up, so he can't see this. It's being blocked by the pipe itself, and it's like super lit. I'm like,
Mike, do you remember
mentally,
this part?
I'm like out of it.
I vividly remember this stuff. Out.
Yeah, I promise.
I fucking snapped,
dude. Like, mentally, I'm like out of it, dude. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing this, like, and it would get tight, and then it would get loose.
Oh, classic.
And then it would get tight.
That's how you know it's
And then it
working.
would get loose. Yeah. I was like, Mikey, Mikey,
So-
I don't know what's wrong, man. Like, it's like not tightening. And he finally, actually, you go ahead, Mike. You tell it your part.
So I'm standing below watching an adult wrench. And I'm like, okay, he's got it. Okay. So he's wrenching, and he's wrenching for a long
You're gonna make Kenny cry.
It's gonna take me a second to get over you calling Joe an adult.
Well, I was like 20.
I'm not saying
at
you're
this
not.
time.
It's
I was
just-
barely an adult.
It
Like,
just caught me off guard.
yeah, and nothing but legal sense am I an adult at this time.
Sure, yeah.
So
Oh man. All right.
I'm watching him wrench, and he's just, I can tell he's been on the same one for an abnormal amount of time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm watching, and I go, "Hey, you got a problem up there?" To which he replies, "It's getting tight, then loose, and tight again." So he's on a ladder,
Yeah.
and I said, "Get the fuck down." So I've got to climb up now to see why a fastener is auto functioning,
Yeah.
whether it's tightening or loosening. So I get up there, and so you have a flange, okay? Here's your flange. You have a bolt that threads through, comes out the other side. The stationary portion of pipe has a giant knuckle just behind it. The bolt was supposed to go this way,
Yeah.
and Joe had put it in this way. So as Joe is tightening, he has met this knuckle,
Right.
which is a steel knuckle, and he's giving it all his might.
Yeah.
And the reason it's so hard is because he is impacting that
Metal
bolt
on metal. Yeah.
against the metal. And so once he starts getting it loose again, it is because he is galling the absolute fuck out of the threads on this bolt.
Oh my god.
And he can't figure out what the fuck's happening
Just keep
2
going.
inches from where he's staring.
I don't, this whole time, like, I'm not kidding, this whole time, my eyes are looking at the nut and the bolt, because they're, like, right next to each other. Because, like, this should be done. Like, I should be done with this. So I'm, like, hyper-focused in on this 1 inch by 1 inch square area, and everything else around me, like, doesn't exist.
It's faded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I couldn't think. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, Mikey told me to wrench this, so I'm gonna fucking wrench it. Like, that's what I'm doing, right?
So let me
That's
tell
all
you,
that
I'm
matters.
gonna ask how, when you found out what you did wrong, how did you react? Because my first, if this was me, and Mike came down, he said, "You put the bolts in backwards," I would have said, "No, I didn't."
I'll be honest, dude. I don't remember what happened after that.
That's
I
probably
will
better.
tell you.
Yeah.
I will tell you exactly how he reacted because it's the part of the story that made me most upset.
Of course.
I said, how the fuck did you file this bolt down basically to a point now
Oh no.
before you realized there may or may not have been a problem?
Right.
And he goes, man, I don't fucking know. Was his verbatim reaction. Man, I don't fucking know. So now the rest of the story's whatever, but anyone that's listening or anyone in this, when you gall threads, the threads are not usable anymore.
The bolt is melted. It is melted. Like, it is
It's not
literally
melted.
welded.
It's fuck welded to itself.
It's heat welded, yeah.
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 So when you go to try to remove it, Joe, what happens?
Nothing. Essentially nothing.
Nothing happens. You can't.
And I don't know.
So we had to spend probably, to buy a factor of 10,
Yeah.
the amount of time.
So we had a giant Samoan dude.
And 2 big whites.
Dude, big white guys.
Corn-fed motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't take this thing off.
You really fucking...
They did nothing.
The funniest part about this was Jake comes over and goes, why'd you do that? Don't worry, I can loosen it. And then it turns into him dripping sweat and hanging from a wrench with a pipe on the end, basically doing pull-ups,
Yeah.
not moving, to the other guys going, oh, I got this.
Oh,
That's more of like a personal challenge.
Let me at it. Yeah.
To, I want to say, one of the 2 white brick shit houses we had, like, pulled his back.
Oh my god.
So
how did it ever come undone?
Do you remember what happened, Joe?
They had to get an industrial fucking pressure cutter.
Oh
So
shit.
they had to get this machine. They literally corridoned off, like, the port side of Angrium up level.
Yeah.
As in, like, you couldn't come within, like, 15 feet of this area. Because it's so, like, they have to
The
take so many
shipyard had
precautions
this
to use it.
gigantic hydraulic, basically chisel
Yeah.
that goes around and punches through the nut to crack it.
Damn.
A hardened steel nut. So yeah,
You
we
did
had
that
to.
with just a couple of crescent wrenches. I'm impressed.
I did that with my bare fucking
You're
hands,
so strong.
2 wrenches, and sheer force of will. All right?
Yeah, that's the power of hating where you are.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that's a good one.
That is
couldn't
my
see outside
claim.
that 1 inch by 1 inch space because you were conserving like blood to your brain.
Yeah.
So you could just-
Yeah.
Oh,
Headed to the forearm.
That is I unironically, for the longest time, used that as like self-motivation. It's like, dude, if I could do that, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, dude,
I can
I
easily
melt.
lift this weight with my teeth.
That's like
Yeah,
that's like a
I was like, if I could melt.
Homelander origin story. Like you turned evil because you saw your power.
Yeah.
Look
I
at
was
what I
like,
caused.
dude. Well, because then I had to give training on it. It's like, all right, guys,
You have given so much
Oh.
training.
don't use
Is
bolts.
that like a punishment?
Fucking-
Yeah, it was like a corrective action.
Yeah.
But
And it basically
almost every
surmised to,
episode,
like-
Joe has been like, so I had to give training on that.
I was like, all right, guys, don't use bolts. that are
We
like
should have
a
an
foot
episode
long.
of his training.
Joe giving training. School of the boat.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have any bangers?
I'm positive I do, but I kind of just get caught up in these and then I forget all of mine. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know things. Like, I remember stuff.
So we have two. We have two left in the ether. Poly Bottles and Radak Dr. Coltank, which is an all-time.
Yeah.
All-time classic.
Radak Dr. Coltank comes up in my head weekly
Yeah.
since it happened. It's still my
I mean,
just from my point of view. It's
Yeah,
still
it is your Discord.
single funniest.
I was
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna
Discord.
say it's your Discord name.
Yes.
All right, let's just tell that one. I'll tell Poly Bottles a different time.
Okay.
Okay, so I mentioned something in the last episode because of how how goofy the esports lieutenant was, because he said he was from the academy. And I commented that all the worst officers I knew were all from the academy. This story features the epitome of that sentiment. He was the engineering officer of the watch at the time, freshly qualified. Took him forever to qualify engineering officer of the watch. We'll call this guy Lartech because he was such a unique breed of dumb and special, and like he had an attitude. Anyway, we started calling it Lartism. He had Lartism, which is a play on his real name, which we don't have to say. And so we'll call him Lieutenant Lartech for this story. But this guy's from the academy, and he sucked because he was stupid and privileged, and never learned from his mistakes. And he had a very difficult time with like public speaking, but it wasn't public speaking. It was just like saying words that lots of people could hear, but you're not in front of anybody. You're just talking into like a microphone.
For him, it was also stringing words together in a coherent sentence.
Yeah, but just in general. So A Gang, probably led by Josias, who we had on a couple weeks ago, would keep a tally of all the times engineering officer of the watches fucked up announcements. And so they had a grease pencil and a big metal piece of whatever that they would track on. So anytime an engineering officer of the watch would say correction to last 2 MC and then fix it, they would get a tally, and they were keeping score, which officer had the most. This guy, I mean, broke the fucking pencil. Like he was all the time correction to last 2 MC, correct. He just could not figure out what the fuck to say. And it's not that hard. So we are on watch. I was his reactor operator, and he was my engineering officer of the watch. And in maneuvering to the engineering officer of the watch's immediate left, there is an alarm panel for the propulsion plant. It has warning lights on it, and it has alarms on it. How can you tell the difference between an alarm and a warning light? A warning light doesn't make any fucking sound when it comes on, and an alarm makes an alarm. So officers always like to fuck up and say that this thing is on and call it an alarm, which is just one of those like not really that important things that when you've been on a submarine for 4 years really annoys you when they get it wrong. So
are they red for alarms?
Yeah,
They also have,
the alarms
they're
are
also
red.
different colors.
The warning lights are amber colored, and they're not like intermixed. The alarms are on the top and the warning lights are on the bottom. They make it very clear.
It's a
But
color
again, it's
scheme
not
that
that,
you may be
like-
familiar with if you've like lived, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that big of a deal to get it wrong. Like only the people in maneuvering really care that you got it wrong. But it's so fucking easy to get it right. And it's like, when you're the wrong type of person and you're that privileged academy grad officer who's also an idiot, then you get yelled at for fucking that type of thing up. So anyway, one of those warning lights is a high-level warning light on a piece of equipment that I don't know if we can really talk about.
Let's call it a bucket.
A bucket that catches maybe radioactive water.
It catches AC coil,
right? Ventilation,
condensation, drip.
Right. So the warning light says RAD space ACT space DR space COLL space tank, which is radioactive drain collection tank. If you're going to read it like verbatim, that's what it says. Anyway, it comes in fairly routinely. It's never supposed to come in, but submarines do submarine things, and you just deal with fucking deficiencies, and that's how it goes. Anyway, we're on watch. That I'll put a picture of a mock-up of that warning light. It comes on, and eventually he looks over and notices. And without talking to anybody on his watch team for like, hey, what the fuck am I supposed to say? Can someone please help me? I'm not very good at my job. He picks up the 2MC, and he goes, Radact Dr. Coll tank alarm in. The end. No someone to investigate. No why it's in.
No where it came in.
No where. No maneuver. Radact Dr. Coll tank alarm in. Boop. The end. And I cannot believe what the fuck he just said. I turned around and stared at him. And he goes, did I say it wrong? And I was like, did you say it wrong? And I paused for a second and I said, sir, why the fuck would anything in this room say doctor? And then he realized what he said and also realized that he did not know what he was supposed to say. So then I told him the correct thing. And then he was about to turn, correction to last 2MC. And I said, oh, and by the way, do you hear a fucking alarm? Because I don't. And he just shut down. He couldn't. He was like... And then eventually one of us had, I think it was the electrical operator, but one of us had to announce it because he just couldn't do it.
So,
Radact Dr. Coll tank.
Let me go back about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
From my point of view, I am standing aft of maneuvering, having a nice conversation about nothing with the squadron engineer. Who
I think this was the same underway as the first hypothetical.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was.
Which is why we came up with all these fake stories at the same time.
Yes. So we were having a conversation. I want to say it was about watches. It was about nothing but related. I was having a blast. Nice guy,
Yeah, he was a good guy.
And we're standing there talking, and we hear Radact Dr. Coll tank alarm in. Come over the 2MC. And
so everyone in engineering spaces heard him.
Every single person that was in the engine room or the
machinery room,
auxiliary machinery room.
Yeah.
So he and I make eye contact and squint. And then he looks around to see if anyone else is having the same reaction that we are. Yeah. And that we're both not having an aneurysm at the same time.
Right.
And he goes, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah.
And I said, let me go check. And I left.
I mean, it's absurd.
Another adult.
An older adult.
Who went, yeah.
He graduated from the Naval Academy.
Radact Doctor. So that I'll send you a picture of the shirt.
Yeah.
You can post it in the video. But we made shirts. I still wear mine regularly. I wore it to work one time. And
featuring Dr. Coll tank.
Yes.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. The shirt's real. Yes. The story's hypothetical.
Yes. We made a whole entire series of t-shirts for a hypothetical we created.
Hypothetical stories.
So I went to work, and I am my company's veteran ambassador. So we just happened to be doing a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting for a veteran event. And I said, hey, if you guys need to stop by my office, come by, stop by my office afterwards. So a guy comes by that I've met, kind of, and he goes, that's a funny shirt. Looks like a boat shirt. I was like, how? You in the Navy? And he goes, yeah, I was on boomers.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
cool. So we start shooting the breeze. I tell him the story. Incredible laughter comes from that.
Yeah.
He shares a couple more. 2 days later, he comes in my office with 4 other guys.
Nice.
4 other sub guys that were all out and retired, various backgrounds, to tell the story again.
He wanted you to tell them right after
Yes.
the whole tank? That's excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
especially, well, all 4 of them were officers.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way that you actually say that, the warning light is not even, you don't just read it. It's very easy what you're supposed to say. It's much simpler than what it says on the fucking thing. And he not only did he read it, he misread it and said doctor. Even if he would have said rad acted coal tank warning light, that's so much better than fucking doctor. Oh, anyway.
Yes.
All right. I'll save poly bottles for another time. So get ready for next week. We're going to start our career journey.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Hopefully Jimmy joins because that's his whole
Forte.
shtick. All right. Anything else before that?
No.
All right. See you guys next week.
See ya.
Like and subscribe.